Hi everyone, Stepan here. Finally a game. I've been waiting for this one for a long time. Let's go c4. Yeah, this is game 72. I don't know what's gonna happen. My opponent's 23-12. I'm gonna go knight f3, play some of the main lines. So I want to hear your thoughts on the World Championship match. I was really surprised with the way it ended. As you may know, I was playing my last game when Ding blundered. I didn't even get to see it properly. Okay, what is this? Why would you play knight d7 before e6 or something else? It's likely gonna transpose after e6, so I'm just gonna go e3. Maybe this just avoids the Botvinnik and the Moscow, anti-Moscow systems. I don't see, okay, g6. Interesting. So I could jump in with knight e5, I guess. And if that's taken, I can probably take the d pawn, but there's no knight g4. So what if I do jump in with knight e5? Knight e5, bishop g7, f4. How does that look? Doesn't look too good. So I should continue developing. My opponent's going to be playing for e5. Should I clarify the situation in the center with cd, cd, queen c2, knight b5? Is that an idea? Not really. But I could go cd, queen b3, sort of forcing e6. I could also go queen b3 now, forcing e6. Yeah, I think I like queen b3, because on dc there's bishop c, and again e6 seems like a forced move. So basically my opponent's playing g6 so that this bishop can be liberated later along the diagonal, and they want to go e5. So if I can provoke e6, that seems like a win. Okay. I mean, now I could go c5. I could also go cd. So c5, queen b3, a b3. c5, queen b3, a b3. Bishop g7, b4, castles b5. e5 is going to happen at some point, because there's knight g4, there's bishop g7. So c5, queen b3, a b3, bishop g7, b4. I think I still go for that. Because I would like to undermine the structure. This is something that you can often see in openings like the London system and some other d4 openings. But if this pawn reaches b5, it will create a long-term weakness either on d5 or on c6. a6 doesn't do anything because the pawn is pinned. Rook b8, of course, hangs the a pawn. So now it's okay. e5 straight away. Okay, I still have ed, and that actually opens up my bishop. So I don't really mind that. Let's just go b5. So if my opponent plays ed4, then my bishop on c1 becomes much better. So I'm not sure that's advisable. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna take. So now I'm looking at bishop a6. Although there could be knight b8. Knight b8 is a very strange move. But on knight b8, I can take on e5, I guess. I don't think I can get away with knight e5. Or d5. Also, if I go bishop a6, there may be ed and rook e8. Okay, so I don't want to allow ed, rook e8, so I'm gonna go bishop e2. I want to castle, and then I will consider bishop a6. My bishop isn't hanging because there's a knight on c3. Okay. Now my opponent's threatening knight c3, bc3, rook e2. So I go rook e1 most likely. I can also play bishop e3, but I'm not really a big fan of that. I can also go bishop a6. My opponent's playing very, very quickly. I think I like rook e1, just developing a piece. I want to play bishop f4 quickly if I can, because that would prevent rook b8 from my opponent. Not that rook b8 is a good move, because I take on a7, but still. I'm very confused by this structure and this opening. Normally, I'm used to playing this with a bishop on f4 and my opponent's bishop somewhere on f5, let's say. But with the bishop still on c1 and c8, this is strange. This seems like a weird hybrid between the London and the Schlechter Slav or something. But there is a weakness on c6, which I'm going to try to target by exchanging the light squared bishops and playing rook a6. If my opponent plays knight df6 followed by bishop g4, I don't think I have to react with anything other than bishop e3. Or even bishop f4. Because that connects my rooks. And if my opponent takes on f3, bishop d4, yeah, I probably have to play bishop e3. I have to save my d pawn. Is there knight c3, bc3, knight c5, dc5? Bishop takes c3? Maybe. That's two pieces for a rook. Okay. Now I'm looking at the b6 square, of course. So the only question is, should I go bishop f4 or bishop e3? If I go bishop f4, I'm preventing rook b8. But if I go bishop f4, the knight c5 idea still works. I still think it's bishop f4. I don't mind giving away a rook and a pawn for 2 pieces. Sorry, a rook and 2 pawns. Especially since it would be the dark squared bishop. So knight c3, bc3, knight c5, dc5, bishop c3. Let's say rook a c1, okay. So not going for that. Can I not take on a5? Wait a minute. Rook a5, if bishop e2, then rook e2. If bishop e2, then sorry, rook a8. So rook a5. Because the bishop's pinned if my opponent takes twice. So rook a5, if bishop e2, rook a8, rook a8, rook e2. If rook e1, rook a1, I have rook e1 blocking. Ah, but there may be knight c3 in that variation. But I can take on a6. Ah, no, I cannot take on a6. Yes, I can. Wait a minute. Rook a5, knight c3, bc3. Yeah, it seems to work. Rook a5, knight c3, bc3. Rook e2, bishop e2, rook a8. Rook a5, knight c3, bc3, bishop e2, rook a8. Rook a8. Rook e2, rook a1, rook e1. Seems to work. I think I can take. I'm gonna take. Yeah, I don't think this works for my opponent. Because I have rook e1. I'm covering the checkmate. Ah, but they get to win the d pawn. So maybe I go knight e1. Ah, I didn't see bishop takes d4 in the end. So knight e1, the idea is if bishop d4, then knight e4, d4, rook e4. And if yeah, I have to play knight e1. I have to. I cannot trade rooks. My only source of counterplay is knight e4. Okay, so knight e4, d4, rook e4. Let's say bishop c5. Rook e8. There is always king g7. Is there an alternative to knight e4? I don't think so. Can I play knight takes d5? Knight d5, cd5, c6. Doesn't work. Okay, so knight e4 it is. So rook takes, bishop c5. Yeah, this is just going to be equal. Okay. Actually, bishop c5 isn't really necessary because mate's hanging if I take the bishop. Do I have any tricks on the dark squares? Oh, knight d3 is coming. My god. Yeah, knight d3 is coming. So I don't have rook e2 because knight d3 just wins. So I'm guessing I have to play rook e8. I don't see any other tempo moves. Okay, now king f1 seems forced. Otherwise, I'm not really defending. I think I have to go king f1 because knight d3 just wins a piece. I'm getting destroyed. I don't know. I'm gonna go bishop g3 because I don't see another move. And I have to go f3 to defend my knight once more. I'm gonna try to hold, but I'm pretty sure I'm just losing. I never get this badly outplayed in tournament games against people my own level. That's very strange. Okay, so now can I get away with rook e3? Just chasing the knight away. Rook e3, bishop c3, f3. And the knight has to move, I guess. So let's try. I'm a pawn down, but maybe I can hold. It's a passed c pawn, so it's unlikely I will hold. Still, I'll try. For now, I have to break the spin, avoid piece trades, but I don't know how. Yeah, I have to keep the rook and the bishop on the board. The knight's gonna get traded off, I'm guessing. After bishop c3, f3, I don't see an alternative to knight takes e1, bishop takes e1. Although my opponent can just trade everything and go into a winning king and pawn endgame. Oof. Yeah, I'm just busted. It's over. Definitely over. My opponent could have traded the bishops off as well, and it would have been even easier to win. He could have gone bishop c3, f3, and then traded everything off, and it just resigns. I don't think there's a way to hold this effectively. But I definitely cannot keep the rooks on the board, so I'm gonna trade on my terms. And I was hoping bishop d6 would make sense, but I'm not in time to get to c5. So I'm gonna move my king up the board first, try and set up a blockade on c4. For if the pawn doesn't start moving, there's no easy way for my opponent to get into the position. Oh yeah, now I have to go f4. I cannot keep the bishops on the board. I cannot trade the bishops off the board. This was the only option. A king and pawn endgame is just... it's dead lost. No debate. So now I have to prevent g5. So I'm going h4. If we trade bishops, it's over. So I have to keep the bishops on the board. My plan is bishop h2, g3. That's the only thing I can see that saves this game. I'm sure I'm still losing, but that's the only way to keep fighting. I know it's not a good idea to put your pawns on dark squares when it's a dark squared bishop endgame, but if the bishops come off, that's it. So g5, hg5, hg5, g3, gf4, gf4. At least I'm reducing the number of pawns. I'm sure I'm still busted, but because I'm in Zugzwang. But I will try. Oh, maybe. No. I was thinking g5 takes. Bishop h2 takes on h6, but the bishop is in time to come back to e5. Yeah. Yeah, I cannot do that. I need to do it this way. And lose. Still, we keep fighting. If I manage to trade off, if I manage to win the c-pawn, then it's over. I don't see a way to do that though. Oh, but I can go bishop g1 now, and if bishop takes f4, I go king c5. Let's do that. At least my bishop has improved. Okay, I'm gonna resign. Nothing works. I don't even have a way to fight. Okay, I got smashed. If you're like me and you think practicing against the engine is boring because it either crushes you or plays like an idiot, try playing against Nocti. Nocti is a human-like AI that's going to adapt to your strength, is going to play like a human, try to trick you like a human, and challenge you on your own level. Samuel, the creator and owner of Nocti, and I have come up with a promotion for this World Championship. You probably heard me talk about Nocti before, but I actually think it's a great way to study, and it makes not having a fanatic chess player next to you, well, less harmful to your chess training, and you can basically train as if you were training against a human. So we decided to do something. The first 10 people who sign up for Nocti with the code Hanging Pawns are gonna get personalized training routines, which I'm going to make. So I'm going to create a 1-month training schedule based on your abilities, based on your problems, based on what you and I think you should be studying. And yeah, if you would like me to do that, check out Nocti. Of course, you don't have to go for premium. It's a great product, even with the basic features. But the first 10 people who do decide to use the code Hanging Pawns are going to get training routines made by me. So if you do sign up, just email samuel@nocti.ai and he will know that you signed up and he will inform me. Okay, let's get back to the game. Let's analyze. Oof. Okay, so e3, g6. So what's the move here? People play queen b3, bishop d3. I played queen b3, so let's see. Queen b3 is okay. Queen b6. Oh, c5 doesn't work. But my opponent didn't have to take, and now I'm better. I should have taken on e5. I didn't want to take on e5. Because it just weakens the entire diagonal and there's knight g4. What? Wait a minute. Takes, takes, takes. Okay, yeah, I'm stupid. On knight g4 the pawn is defended. Yeah, I'm just up a pawn. Why didn't I do this? I went b5. Bishop a6 immediately did work. I was afraid of takes, takes and rook e8, but with the queens of the board, that's really not that scary. Oh, knight c5 did work, and that variation with knight c3. Knight c3, bc3, knight c3, bc3. Okay, this is better for black. I didn't think this was better for black. It seemed okay. Okay, it's not that much better. At least I saw it. That makes it easier. Okay, so here, 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 here. Oh, I should have taken knight takes. Oh my god. I didn't even see that I can defend my pawn. Yeah, I'm just dead lost here. Let's see. I mean, I know I played poorly. Let's see how my opponent did. Oof. This was an awful game by me. My opponent didn't play that well either. I mean, in the opening they had this. They just gave up a pawn, but yeah, still a pretty accurate game compared to my play. Oof. Does this variation have a name? Slav 3 knights. I don't think I've ever heard of that. Okay. Ugh. Awful game. Let's hope game 73 goes better. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more chess. Bye bye.